Swadikap, good morning. Thank you for joining us on Newsline. We're broadcasting live on NBT Radio Thailand FM 88 and NBT World. Today is Friday, April 17th, and you're with me, Surapan Lautaranarit. Welcome to today's segment of Thailand Moves Forward. In our first story, the government is ready to present to the public what it has achieved during its first 6 months in office. Deputy Government Spokesman Major General Sansern Gyalkamnerd said that the government's 6-month performance report will begin at 9 a.m. today at Government House. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha will first take the stage and deliver an address on the performance report, which will be translated live for foreign reporters covering the event. He added that all deputy prime ministers and the cabinet will be ready to answer more specific questions from members of the press as well. In addition, the government has prepared documents summarizing the government's performance over the past 6 months for reporters, while making them available for public access on the government's website, worldwideweb.thaigov.go.th. Mr. Sansern said that the performance report will be broadcast live on the National Broadcasting Services of Thailand or NBT channel and affiliated radio stations. The Finance Ministry will be injecting more cash into the Village and Community Fund program in hopes of boosting grassroots economy. Finance Minister Somai Pasi said that the ministry is already prepared to propose an amendment of the law on the Village and Urban Community Fund and the improvement of the fund management in order to make all funds operate under the same standards so that they can be instrumental in driving forward grassroots economy. Mr. Somai said that the government will be adding 40 billion baht to help village funds that have been receiving good and excellent grades after their evaluation is completed. He said that there are nearly 6,000 outstanding village funds that will be eligible for additional cash. The Finance Minister added that the Government Savings Bank and the Bank for Agriculture and Agricultural Cooperatives will each prepare 20 billion baht to be offered as a 2-year loan with a maximum annual interest rate of 5% for interested village funds. In addition, the ministry will approve approximately 20 billion baht in remaining capitals to more than 19,000 village funds. At present, there are about 79,255 village and urban community funds operating across the country, with over 200 billion baht in circulation. The Ministry of Transport has been considering the use of Section 44 to expedite its infrastructure projects. In a bid to bring several projects initiated during this administration to fruition, Transport Minister Air Chief Marshal Prajin Chantong said that he may apply Section 44 of the 2014 Interim Constitution to ongoing issues. The Transport Minister had been referring to the replacement of the Department of Civil Aviation with a new agency due to its downgrade by the International Civil Aviation Organization. Section 44 provides the National Council for Peace and Order, or NCPO, with wide discretion to issue orders and undertake acts that the NCPO deems appropriate for the sake of national reform. The Transport Minister said the use of Section 44 may speed up government action. Many of the ministry's development projects are faced with slow progress. Air Chief Marshal Prajin said that unexpected problems that needed to be corrected urgently have impeded the ministry's efforts to execute its projects. Several projects that the minister wishes to accomplish within this administration include the expansion of Suvarnabhumi International Airport, Don Mueang Airport, and Utapao Airport, the construction of the dual-track railway, new motorways and expressways, and the purchase of NGV buses. The Economic Cabinet has revealed that the country's gross domestic product, or GDP, in the first quarter expanded by 3%, due mainly to the recovery of the tourism industry. During the Economic Cabinet meeting, Deputy Transport Minister and Secretary General of the National Economic and Social Development Board, Akom Term Pithayaphaisit, disclosed that the recent influx of Chinese tourists and a rise in consumer spending were the main contributors to GDP growth. In addition, the Bank of Thailand disclosed that the expansion of special economic zones has increased trade value with neighboring countries by 7 to 10%, despite the country's overall exports contracting by 4%. Meanwhile, several projects await final approval that could contribute to economic growth at the community level, including a 40 billion baht budget for the expansion of national highways. The meeting also resolved to curb deflation to prevent the strong baht from affecting small business enterprises. Meanwhile, government spokesperson Dr. Yongyut Mayalap revealed that the Ministry of Public Health, in hand with the National Health Security Office, has been tasked with establishing guidelines for the local security fund in 137 remote areas. The fund has a budget of approximately 1.9 billion baht. The project is aimed at extending medical privileges to over 278,000 stateless individuals. The Center for Economic and Business Forecasting of the University of the Thai Chamber of Commerce, or UTCC, has slashed its GDP forecast for 2015 by another 0.8% in light of several negative factors. According to the center, the country's GDP is likely to grow 2.2% during the first quarter of this year and reach 2.8% and 3.5% in the second and third quarters, respectively. The country's GDP is predicted to peak at 4.2% in the fourth quarter. The average GDP for this year is estimated at 3.2%, but might dip below 3%. Compared to the earlier forecast of 4%. Export growth could nosedive to 0.4% instead of the previous prediction of 4.1%. This year's inflation rate is likely to drop to 0.5% from the earlier estimate of 2.3%. The UTCC ascribed its downward projection to several negative factors, including the volatility of the global economy, falling agricultural product prices, high household debt, an increase in production costs, a higher cost of living, termination of the Generalized System of Preferences, or GSP, and a stronger baht. Positive factors that may help prop up the country's economy include political stability, economic recovery of some countries, especially the U.S., government investment in infrastructure, the establishment of special economic zones, a pickup in tourism, and the Monetary Policy Committee's reduction of the interest rate to 1.75%. The National Reform Council, or NRC, has submitted proposals aimed at protecting consumers, including fair compensation and equal treatment. The NRC Committee on Consumer Protection, chaired by Ms. Sari Ong Somwang, revealed that the committee has gathered input from various groups regarding the proposed amendments to the existing Consumer Protection Act of 1998. The committee concluded that provisions should be included to ensure that the authorities enforce standards stipulated by the Act and that all consumers affected by violations be compensated in a fair manner. The committee therefore called for the outlining of a standard procedure of settling complaints. In addition, the committee proposed the setting up of a mediation committee to settle disputes in a fair and transparent manner. The National Council for Peace and Order, or NCPO, will invite political pundits and academics from abroad to share their ideas on Thailand's political transition. In the Royal Gazette, published on Thursday, The NCPO has announced the setting up of a working committee to be a coordinator to work with various agencies and organizations, such as the Foreign Ministry and state-run universities and colleges, as well as the King Prachatipok's Institute and all 5 councils and committees set up under the interim constitution. The new working group will discuss with all agencies and organizations about the invitation of overseas academics knowledgeable about politics, charter drafting, reform, and political crises in their respective countries, in order for them to share their experiences with Thailand. It is hoped that all opinions and ideas from these individuals will help Thailand move closer towards a complete democratic rule, in which the need of the people is the central focus, and nothing is in contradiction with international standards. The input, on the other hand, will not interfere with the ongoing process to draft a new charter. Minister of Culture Weera Rodpotanarat on Thursday presided over a ceremony to pay homage to the past kings and holy spirits. The ceremony was part of a cultural fair in celebration of the 233rd anniversary of the Ratanakosin era. The fair is scheduled for April 17th to 21st, 2015 at Sanam Luang. It has the objective to commemorate the past kings of the Chakri dynasty with many activities and rituals of Buddhism and Brahmanism. Director General of the Fine Arts Department, Pawanwet Rungruji, said the department joined hands with the Ministry of Culture in arranging free historical tours in the Ratanakosin Island from April 19th to 21st. The tours are aimed at educating interested people about the history of Ratanakosin and historical significance of areas surrounding the island. The tours will take them to 16 important places, such as the National Museum, the Grand Palace, the Temple of the Emerald Buddha, the city pillar shrine, and the city's moats and walls. The Ministry of Culture has expressed satisfaction over the outcome of cultural preservation efforts during this Songkran festival, saying many people went to temples to make merit. According to Culture Minister Weera Rodpotanarat, the Culture Office in each province has carried out a survey during April 13th to 15th on local residents' way of celebrating the Thai New Year. The results indicated that as many as 480,000 people made a visit to temples during the holidays. About 85% of the respondents made merit by giving alms to monks, while 80% took part in the bathing of Buddha images. Other popular traditions included building sand castles, listening to Buddhist sermons, and seeking blessings from elders at 70%, 65%, and 48% respectively. Mr. Weera said it is flattering to see Thai people taking an active role in preserving the traditional Songkran celebrations. He added that the Culture Ministry's campaign to promote the donning of traditional Thai attires was also successful this year due to overwhelming participation, especially in Ayutthaya province. Furthermore, fewer complaints were received through the ministry's 1765 hotline about inappropriate behaviors of Songkran revelers compared to last year. The Ministry of Public Health is pleased with the performance of its emergency assistance units during the Songkran holiday, while setting a target to further promote its emergency hotline 1669. Public Health Minister Dr. Ratchatanawin stated that a flood of assistance requests were made by victims of road accidents to the 1669 emergency hotline during Songkran. As a result, a total of 8,732 hospital transport trips were successfully made by the ministry's rescue units, equivalent to a third of the nationwide figure. Nonetheless, the minister admitted that it remains crucial to make people more familiar with the 1669 hotline to increase their access to emergency assistance. He said coordination between the rescuers and the police also needs to be improved for quicker operations. As for community checkpoints set up by the ministry across the nation during the festive period, Dr. Rachata indicated that they were highly efficient in preventing road accidents and casualties. Based on a survey of 206 checkpoints in 10 provinces, there were no fatalities on roads in their surroundings, and only minor injuries were sustained from accidents by some motorists. Several drunk drivers were also intercepted at the checkpoints and were sent home safely. The Royal Irrigation Department, or RID, has urged people to conserve water, as only 54% of total capacity remains in reservoirs across Thailand. The RID reported that out of 37 billion cubic meters of water stored in the country, only 14 billion cubic meters can be used for consumption. Water levels in every region are declining. In the north of Thailand, the combined amount of water from various dams and reservoirs is 10 billion cubic meters. This translates to only 50% of water capacity left in the north. An estimated 27 billion cubic meters of water remains in the central and western regions, and only 1 billion cubic meters in the northeast. And that's all for today's edition of Thailand Moves Forward. We'll take a quick break now, but before that, let's take a look at the exchange rates and commodity prices.
To maintain a strong nation, Thailand is promoting 12 core values for the good of the people. First among them, to uphold the three pillars: the nation, religion, and the monarchy.
How could you do that to me? Stop it! Huh? Don't you get it? I don't need you anymore. Enough! We're through. There's someone else in my life.
Say no to the past. Bring your own bag. Say no to plastic.
NBT World, a 24-hour English language television service operated by the National News Bureau of Thailand, or NNT, is designed to bring the most reliable information about Thailand to the international community. NBT World is available on various platforms, including via C-band set-top boxes, GMMZ Channel 202, PSI Channel 272, and a live stream on thainews.prd.go.th/newsing. You can also follow us on facebook.com/NNT News or download the PRD News EN application on your smartphones. NBT World, a vision of Thailand.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline. The Department of Industrial Promotion, or DIP, is planning to promote the industrial scene in the southern region, particularly in Yala, Pattani, Narathiwat, Satun, and Songkhla provinces. DIP Director General Atit Wutikaro said the plan would focus on para-rubber processing, food processing, and garment industries. He said the region contains all the necessary elements for production, such as agricultural operations, raw materials, and the means to add value to products. The Director General said a fund of about 28 million baht has been set aside for the scheme, which includes business expansion and investment, ASEAN integration through border trade, projects that generate new entrepreneurs, projects that promote and develop latex products, and the establishment of learning centers. Now let's take a look at what's happening elsewhere in the world. Italian police arrested 15 African men suspected of throwing about a dozen Christians from a migrant boat in the Mediterranean on Thursday as a crisis off southern Italy intensified. 41 more deaths were reported in a separate incident. Police in the Sicilian capital Palermo said they had arrested the men from Ivory Coast, Mali, and Senegal after survivors reported they had thrown 12 people from Nigeria and Ghana to their deaths and threatened other Christians. The 15 were arrested on charges of multiple homicide motivated by religious hatred. Almost 450 people are now thought to have died this week after rescued migrants brought to the Sicilian port of Trapani on Thursday said 41 others traveling with them had drowned. Ethiopian Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegn and Rwandan President Paul Kagame on Thursday condemned the ongoing attacks on foreigners in South Africa. South African police fired rubber bullets and tear gas on Thursday to disperse anti-immigrant protesters in Johannesburg as the country's president called for violence directed at foreigners to be stopped. Around 200 protesters in an eastern suburb of the country's commercial city shouted that they wanted immigrants to leave and threw rocks at passing vehicles and police. At least 4 people have been killed in the unrest that began 2 weeks ago in Durban, a major port on South Africa's Indian Ocean coast. Outbreaks of anti-immigrant violence in South Africa have been blamed on high unemployment, officially around 25%. Although the economists say in reality the number is much higher. A local skydiver had the fright of his life on Saturday when his parachute stopped working in mid-air and he was blown away. Luke Godfrey's helmet camera fell off in the process and captured a 1,000-meter plunge to the ground. Godfrey said that it was a routine jump which he was conducting with 2 other experienced skydivers. He waved goodbye to them mid-air when powerful wind slammed into him and twisted the line of his parachute. His helmet then swiftly fell off. The helmet camera landed undamaged in a rugby field and was then picked up by a group of people. It was only after 5 hours of searching and negotiations did Godfrey manage to get his helmet and camera back. And that's all for today's edition of Newsline. For any comments or suggestions, please feel free to email us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook or visit our website at thainews.prd.go.th/newsin. And for now, we're going to say goodbye with some footage of Chonburi province celebrating Songkran. I'm Suraphal Lautharanarit. Thank you for joining us and have a good day. สวัสดีครับ